Listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's RISMedia Agent Webinar Series. I'm excited and fired up about our guest today, and we're really looking forward to some fantastic information on how absolutely every one of you can list at least 100 houses a year. And we don't put this topic up there lightly. We put it up there with the attitude that not only can you do it, but we're going to give you the roadmap on actually how you can increase your listings to over 100 houses a year. And we've got two fantastic guests with us. They're going to show you how to do that today. Let me introduce myself. I'm Verl Workman, founder and CEO of Workman Success Systems out of Salt Lake City, Utah. We coach and train the elite in this country. If you're looking for help or you want to know how to build a team, reach out to workmansuccesssystems.com for a free consult, and we'll do everything we can to help you. I want to remind everybody as you come on the call today that there's always free gifts. We always make sure that our presenters have things that they share with you that have great value. So you want to stay on till the end of the call. We'll tell you what website to go to and how you'll get those additional gifts. And today's gifts are significant, so you want to make sure you stick around for that. The next thing is if you have questions, and we hope that you have great questions during the call for any of our presenters, use the dialog box on the GoToWebinar control panel where it says questions to type your questions in. Throughout the call, I'll be monitoring questions, and as we have time between speakers and at the end of the call today, I'll ask those questions. If we don't get to all the questions, then we'll post those questions on the blog so you can read them a little bit later. So once again, welcome to today's call. Buckle up and get ready for some fantastic information. And remember to stay on to the end, and we'll tell you how to take advantage of the free gifts that are going to be shared with you. Here's a little snapshot of some of the things you're going to be getting. Bob Sokler's 150-step plan to sell your house faster and for more money, one of his unfair competitive tools. He showed you that a little bit today. And also from Martin Bauma, just sold postcards, his marketing flyers, the annual report he sends, the seller interview form, and samples of the action plans he actually uses when he takes a listing. So a lot of great information. These webinars would not be possible without the support of our partners, and we have a couple of great partners on the webinar today. One is we have RISMedia, who's always a great solution, but RISMedia Content Solutions, one of the biggest challenges we have as agents is we don't know what to say. We have all these social media channels, and we want to be experts in the marketplace, and RISMedia's Content Solutions has pretty much what you're looking for. They have content for your websites, your blogs, your newsletters, social media, and they give you the ability to stand out and be exceptional instead of average. Make sure you check out RISMedia's Content Solutions when you have an opportunity to, whether it's newsletters or information that goes on your social media sites or professionally produced videos. RISMedia has got a solution for you as a professional real estate agent to separate you from the average and help you not only be exceptional, but perform at an exceptional level. And our next sponsor, and I call them a partner because they really are our partners, is Pillar to Post Home Inspectors. And you all know how critical it is to have good home inspectors. It was interesting as I was talking to Chad, one of our regional managers of Pillar to Post, and we were talking about the challenges that inspectors have in dealing with real estate agents. It's kind of interesting that we all have the same issues. And I just want to welcome Chad. And Chad, thank you for being here on the call, and thank you for your partnership in these calls.
We're proud to be a part of it and excited to participate and learn.
Give me a quick snapshot of what makes Pillar to Post a little bit different.
Yeah, Pillar to Post is, I think, different primarily in that we're focused on the customer's needs and experience and not ourselves as inspectors. We're the largest home inspection company in North America with over 450 franchises across the U.S. and Canada. We offer our clients 3 unique home inspection packages. We think options are important, and we also respect and understand that the transaction is a timely manner, and therefore we will generate and print our reports on site at the time of the inspection.
I love that. It was interesting as we were talking in a pre-call, we were talking about some of the issues that home inspection companies have, and this is what I found in running my own real estate team is there's a huge lack of professionalism. They don't show up on time, they're unresponsive, they're not available when I need them. Another one is they drive me crazy because they're like fear mongers. They feel like they have to scare the crap out of the buyer in order to justify their existence. And the last one is that as the listing agent on some of these deals, we often feel like they don't really have respect for the other parties in the transaction. how does pillar to post deal with some of those issues we have with some of the other inspectors that are out there. And I'm not saying that everybody's bad. I'm just saying that, these are common, and I get them a lot. And so because we get them a lot, we have to deal with them.
Yeah, it's the non-alarming, alarmist inspectors are being one that is non-alarming. I think largely focuses on the fact that at Pillar to Post, again, we focus on the customer's needs and wants, and not our own liability or not our own ego or the fact that we feel like we need to justify our existence by tearing apart a house. We realize our role in that transaction and how important it is that the client have a great experience so that they understand the purpose of the inspection to begin with. We really do set the bar in terms of industry standard for professionalism. A pillar to post inspector is trained to be there a half hour early, set up and prepared, and waiting for their client to approach them when the inspection is scheduled to start.
Well, I got to let you know that we appreciate your level of professionalism, the training, and the attitude you have towards making a difference and increasing that standard. And we appreciate your support of the webinars. And I think that one of the best things a company can do is, not only be great at their craft, but also help them become successful. And that's exactly what you're doing with participating in the call today. So thank you very much. And we'll hear from you a little bit later as I encourage you to participate in the Q&A as we talk to some of our guests today. So thanks again for being here. So I want to jump in, you betcha, and welcome Bob Sokler and Martin Bauma, who are our guests today. And we're going to start with Bob, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction, and then we're going to jump right in. Bob Sokler and the Sokler Medley team is RE/MAX Properties East out of Louisville, Kentucky. How you doing, Bob?
Well, it's Sokler, but don't worry, you're not the only one ever. Yeah,
I know, I do that.
The last. Yep, that's okay. I'm doing great. Recuperating from a hoarse voice, but I'm almost 100%, so I feel a lot better.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. And hey, look, I grew up with the name Verl. Nobody gets it right.
I know. I'm guilty of it as well with you, so don't sweat that. Yep.
Hey, no worries. Let me just tell everybody about you a little bit. Ranked #1 in Louisville 4 years in a row. That's got to feel good.
For volume, absolutely. And I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. I mean, I look back and I think, how did I get here? But there's a definite roadmap that you and I will be discussing today that will help others to move forward. Hopefully not others in my market, mind you.
I love, one of the things I've learned with the top performers, and you fit right into this group, is that, we believe there's enough business out there for everybody, and by sharing our thoughts and ideas, I've never seen a top agent hurt by sharing their stuff with others, and I really appreciate you being here and sharing, what's been working for you. You've got this background with news anchor reporter for television and different TV stations. The fact that you're an Emmy award-winning reporter, that's pretty impressive to me. How has that carried over to you in real estate?
I'm using the skills as a reporter to help me write copy for our listings and for the videos that we create, and we'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. But I think, a lot of people in our industry have had other jobs that they can bring their skills from those jobs into this current job. It's just a matter of seeking out, finding what works, what you've done before that's helped to get you to where you are today, and then using it to your advantage.
Yeah, I think that's critical. In your bio, the one thing that I think stands out the most to me that is the most impressive is that you're married to Noreen for over 40 years. What's your secret?
Yeah, that's you have to ask her that. I think she has just withstood the trials and the tribulation. It's been a tough road for any marriage. I mean, for any amount of years. I have to hand it all to her. She's been the rock for me. So, they always say there's a good woman behind every man, and I'm lucky enough to actually live and breathe that.
Well, congratulations, and I believe every word of that. Yep. So tell us a little bit about your team. That's a great-looking picture of your team.
There's a good group of people. We're actually growing the group again. We've got 10 buyers agents. I right now do all of our listings, which is it sometimes can be difficult because I do allow the buyer agents to list leads that they bring in, but the agents, we ask them to work as hard as they can. Our goal this year is 400 units. We did 315 units last year, and I've told our agents that if we hit 400, we as a group will determine where I'm going to take them on an all-expense-paid vacation, and we'll bring the spouses as well. So there's a real fire in their eyes because they want to see me pay for that all-expense-paid trip, which is fine with me. Because look, if you go from 315 to 400 units, there's a plus there that you can use to help, in this case, get us to that level and make them feel good about what they've done. We also, and in looking at the slide, for anybody who's thinking about expanding, I have to. And he's not a sponsor, but he's a good guy. The Talent Genius out of, I believe, Dallas, Texas. We use them to increase our ranks by 1 last year, which we were looking for a specific ISA to handle incoming buyer and seller leads, a staff person, and he helped us really nail our hire. So we've got a phenomenal office manager in the way of our Lisa Clyer, and then we have another person, our ISA, whose name is Lisa Smith. And if you don't think that causes problems in terms of sending out emails, you guess again, it's tough. So we have to make sure we identify Lisa S and Lisa K as we send things out to our team.
Well, it's awesome. It sounds like you have a great group of people. When you have a team with that many people, how do you keep the office culture positive and fired up and all running on the same thing? I love that you're doing a contest, and if you hit your goal, everyone gets an expense trip. What are some of the other things you're doing?
Well, it's transparency, and we have office meetings every Tuesday morning. We go for about an hour to an hour and a half, and we discuss any problems that any of them are having in the general workplace in terms of just sales, but also if there's a problem that someone else is having, there's an open door policy. They can come and see me privately, or we discuss it as a group as to where the problems may be. We have certain rules that we've set up within our organization to handle incoming leads. And as you'll see in a couple of moments, we're getting a lot of leads from a variety of locations, and those leads have rules. If it's a phone call, sign call, then those calls need to be answered immediately. We try to get to them almost as they come in, but if they're a call that comes in from one of our lead services, we have a 2-minute rule. That's what Lisa, our office ISA, is in charge of, and at the same time, we are asking our agents to make calls as well. Our ISA hands off the leads, whether it's from Tiger, Boomtown Conversion, Realtor.com, Zillow. We also are doing Trulia, but you wonder if Trulia and Zillow are really combined or if they're just in name at this point. And then we try to make sure that there's a contact on every lead. Now, I'll tell you the reason. I mentioned that I'm looking to expand because we need more agents. Our conversion rate is okay. I'm never happy with it. I don't know any team owner that is happy with a conversion rate of the buyer leads to closings. But I think if we add some more of our buyers, and I'm looking for decent buyer agents that know how to handle leads and convert, I think we'll end up increasing our overall conversion for the year. So that's why I mentioned we're looking to add, and I think every agent in the country needs to be seeking a team, because I think teams are the wave of the future. I think every agent needs to be looking for a positive team that's growing, that is transparent, that doesn't hide things behind backs. My door is open, as I mentioned, so that any agent that has a problem can come in and discuss it with me. We don't have to agree, but at the same time, when we finish, we know where each of us stand, and hopefully we resolve the problem. I think that there are a lot of team owners in the country who are we're right now feeling our way through this thing, trying to find the right way to get the most conversion, to make our team members happy. For me, it's all about not only converting and closing, but it's also making sure that our agents are happy and that our clients are happy, and that becomes probably the biggest thing for me overall, is just supplying a great economy, jobs, lifestyle for our agents, and happy sellers and happy buyers.
Yeah, I love that, Bob. You know, the previous slide showed lots of lead generation, and you clearly spend a lot of money on generating leads for your buyers' agents, right?
Yeah, I sure do.
Talk to me about seller lead sources.
So we have, and there's a lot out there. I have been with Matt Wagner and Rate, radio television experts, for 3, 4, 5 years. Matt had been trying to get me to join him for a couple of years before that, and I was kind of reluctant. But Matt has proven to me to be not only a dear friend who cares about us, but also an innovator in this industry around the country. So radio, and then we're with Barbara Corcoran as well, where she's endorsed us on television. So that's a big plus. In fact, I leave here in about 10, 15 minutes from this conversation. I run over to the radio studio and record our Sunday morning show, which, by the way, if anybody has access to iTunes, and I'm sure you do, if you do a search for Louisville Real Estate, just the words Louisville Real Estate, and in iTunes, and you'll find our podcasts, which are actually the radio show that we upload to iTunes. So you can hear what that's like, and I think that's a big plus. We're also experimenting this year with bold leads, B-O-L-D. I know there are a couple of them out there, and I can't tell you that bold is better than any other, but I would tell you that these are basically posts on Facebook, retargeting, that brings people back to us looking for pretty much a CMA or a value, and then our ISA puts together a quick CMA and sends it to them. And then we determine whether or not they're interested in going further, or if they were just window shopping. Then our past sphere of influence clients, we hired another group this year to also call our past clients, asking them to rate us, and at the same time asking them if they know of anybody who's looking to buy or sell. We also own a moving truck, and we offer the moving truck at the time to those clients, reminding them that we have that as well. So we're helping to add value and trying to find other ways of touching on them, because I really think for those of us who have been in the business for a while, I've been in 11 years, we've got quite a database of past clients, and I don't know that any of us, and maybe some people do better than others, but that we all do a great job in terms of keeping in contact with those past clients. And I can tell, Verl, you and I have both attended a number of group masterminds around the country on a yearly basis. I think you and I had lunch along with your daughter back at the Boomtown convention that is again coming up this year, and we all talk about the cheapest lead to convert is one of our past clients who may be a screaming or raving fan, and we just need to do a better job in keeping in contact with them. And then I focus strictly on the seller leads, and they're coming from radio, they're coming from bold, they're coming from past clients. I hired another group. I have an ISA from my outdesk, and I love Jason and the people over at my outdesk, so I've got somebody in the Philippines calling incoming buyer leads when our Louisville-based ISA is not working during the weeknights and weekends. But then in addition to that, I also have hired another group from my VA team, and I've got an ISA in the Philippines calling FSBOs and expireds using Vulcan 7 to basically drum up some business through that system. I'm not a big fan. I don't like making the calls personally to expires and FSBOs, but I'm using the ISA to weed out potential possible listings and then make the calls and make some visits. We've been marginally successful on this. I think there are so many people who are already doing FSBOs and expireds. I'm not sure that that's something that will continue past this experimental period. I'm giving it 6 to 8 months to see what we do in terms of an ROI based on what I'm expending. But looking back,
Bob,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, so would it be fair to say that lead generation is not an issue? You've got plenty of leads?
I've got plenty of leads, and it's a matter of, here's the thing, and Brill, I don't know whether you want to get into this or not, but following up on these leads is probably the most important thing that we can do, and I think we're probably going to get into that in just a couple of minutes, but how much in detail you want to talk about that, that's strictly up to you.
We may get into lead conversion on a different call because it is such a critical deal. A lot of people, when they think about building a team or they think I'm going to add buyer's agents, they're really concerned about, not having enough leads to feed the beast, if you will.
Right.
And I tell them the leads aren't an issue. Leads are not the issue. It's will you do the work and will you get on the phones and will you practice the scripts and dialogues to be able to convert.
Yep.
And I want to focus the next segment on now you've got the leads coming in, you're getting the appointments set up. what is your unfair competitive advantage? What is it that makes you different?
Well, for us, it's photos. I'm a big believer that photos and videos help drive the listings to get buyers in to buy those listings. So if for some reason your photos, you're using your cell phone camera to take pictures of your listings, you need to rethink that. I'm using high-end equipment. You can hire up a high-end photographer to make those pictures. I'm kind of cost conscious and I prefer doing it myself, but my quality of my pictures is, I think, fairly decent. My energy level, sometimes I wonder where I get my energy from, but I'm really driven and I've got a passion. I love what I'm doing. And then, I've got friends who will go out and play golf. I haven't seen a golf course in 11 plus years. So I just think we have to put our head down, especially this time of the year, and put business before any type of pleasure, and you got to work, and then you have to spend money to make money. For example, we put together, I was sitting at a conference about a year and a half ago, and a dear friend talks about his listing presentation and then this 150-step guide, and I'm thinking, well, gee, how do we do this? How do I make this? And so I started exploring, and that's what you have up, and you're looking at right now, this 150-step guide that we send out, and I'm using this online as a link to allow people to download and see what we do. And inside you'll see we've got steps for what you're doing, what we do, how we do it, the listing consultation from start to finish in detail. Our potential sellers, and we have one for buyers, by the way, as well, our sellers look at this and they start realizing that this is not something that they want to go out there and try to do themselves, but by looking at what we do on a day-to-day basis with every single item that's out there, they start realizing that we're here as a professional group. It's not just some one or two sheet piece of paper that we've printed off on a printer. These are high quality, and I have to tell you, my son Gregory, who's 27, who joined me about 2 years ago, I'm so proud of this guy. He has helped design and continues to update these marketing books. So what you're looking at is what Greg's helped to do, along originally with a VA that we used to create the initial concept, and Greg's just taking it to a whole new level, and we're able to update it on a daily basis. And so for anybody listening on the call, what I would suggest is hire somebody, get somebody locally, even if it's a college student who may have some experience with being able to do layouts, and then being able to update this on the fly. If you see something better or you want to increase what you're doing or add to it, you're able to instantly insert this, and then we upload all of this to a central clearinghouse, and we use that as a means of being able to send a link to our sellers and also our buyers. So it's not a simple form, but it's something that we've become very happy with, and we're on a regular basis being able to update it and present a pretty clean-looking listing and buying book.
So now, when does this go out pre-list, or is your pre-list package something a little bit different?
No, it actually goes out via email pre-list. Now, I'll send it via mail, snail mail, but I've found we get more of an immediate wow if we get, so for example, the pre-list book that you're looking at right now, if you get that in their hands instantly once you've talked to them, so they can start looking, and then rather than waiting a couple of days for snail mail to get out to them, then I can call them the next day and try to get into them, because let's face it, there are other agents at other companies and maybe even our own company who are making those calls as well, and so we want to get something in their hands as quickly as humanly possible.
So take me through your pre-list a little bit, your pre-list book.
So one of the things we're strong on is Barbara Corcoran, Shark Tank. She's amazing, and we want to try to utilize her as much as possible. We introduce our team right off the top. We're always showing what we're doing now, so if you go to the next slide, you'll see something that we have just started working with 3D photography, which is this Matterport. I've got the gear. I've got to get a couple of days that I can get this under my belt. We just put this into play, and I think this is the next level of marketing for sellers, where you're able to physically look at the house as a dollhouse or a layout. And then it's all about bringing them through what our marketing plan is from start to finish. And I think it's important to show the pieces of the puzzle, to show the amount of internet marketing that we do. We continually are trying to add, and you can't stop spending. We're adding a number of websites. We're spending money and for syndication of our both photos and videos. And I think within the marketing book that you do, it needs to be clear. It doesn't need to contain a lot of copy. It has to have graphics that's interesting and that a buyer or seller can follow along, and it hits their hot button and shows them very simply what you're doing to move forward in addition to what other agents are doing, so that there's a comparison, but that you always look better than what everybody else is doing.
I love this graphic, by the way.
Yeah, this is Greg. This is all my son Greg. He, from start to finish, he put this together. And in fact, you can see Greg. He's to my right, and to the right of him is Lisa, our office manager, and then Casey is one of our newest agents. Casey and Greg actually met on a trip. They have, I don't know, they're not engaged yet, but they're dating seriously, and I think we're going to see Casey join us as another Sokoler in our team. So I'm thrilled. She's fabulous, and she's absolutely wonderful. And you can see the rest of our team. Our daughter Ashley is just under Casey. I think it's funny that Greg put Casey above Ashley, who's his sister. Ashley is very, very part-time. She just gave birth to our first grandbaby, so we love that as well. Yeah, thanks. And then the comparison, I think, is important for all of you, just to be able to see of what a single agent does as compared to a dual agent who's got a lot of people with him. So that particular slide, the single agent needing help on a regular basis.
Bob, there's just a little bit of background noise in your office or somewhere around.
It's not me. I think it's somebody else. I'm in a room sealed off.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I'll have Miriam look through and mute anybody else out that's not unmuted. Okay, great. So that is so true, though. A single agent has to deal with all those things, and it becomes a nightmare. When you have a team,
right.
You have specialists working with every aspect of the business, and they do it much better.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about your listing presentation. You know, I thought this was really interesting. I said, hey, I want to see your formal listing presentation, and your response was,
I
okay,
do it live.
Don't have one.
I know. I use a Mac, and I love my Mac, and I have a presentation that I have loaded if I need it. But what I'd like to do is engage the seller and try to feel them out as to what's important to them. And sometimes that's difficult, but more often than not, you get to feel whether they're looking to see if you have a lot of clients, in which case I'm dialed in on my Wi-Fi that I bring with me, and I'll go into the back end of Tiger and show them live views of Tiger. If they're looking to see videos, I'll take them inside of our videos, or I'll even pull up Final Cut and show them how I'm editing videos and putting them out there. If they're looking for pictures, I'll pull up the pictures that we worked on before and after and how we enhance them and then what they look like. So what I'm always trying to do is find what is the hot button for that seller and deliver it to them. And I think if we all do that and be more responsive, I think we end up converting that potential seller to our client a little bit better. This is something I just came up with, Virl, and I can't take credit for it. I was at a CRS meeting, and this was brought up, and I said, well, this is kind of cool. So I reinvented it. You know, from my old Star Power days, there's no such thing as a new thing. It's just reinventing something that's working out of somebody else's backyard. And basically, this is a team. It's a profile so that a potential seller, if they fill this out, and I've gotten a number of these back, I know they're ready to come list. And this is rather extensive. We've only got one page up there, but this goes on probably in maybe 15 pages of different information, including asking them what they think the house is worth. And I've found they're more willing to tell you on paper than they are in person. And once you have an idea from them before you walk in the door how much their home is worth, it makes it a lot easier for you knowing how committed they're going to be to the price that you're going to suggest or the price that they're going to find while doing the listing presentation live. Because one of the things we should tell you is that while looking at that listing presentation live, while I'm online, I'll go on the MLS, we'll pull up homes in their neighborhood or in their area zip code, and we'll have the seller compare the home that they're living in to other homes that are sold or are active as their competition. And by doing that, they help us to choose their own price in terms of listing. This that you're looking at right now is one of our farming methods. We're doing one particular subdivision. We're using real, I forgot the name of the company, but we can always supply it. Real Marketing, that's what it is. And what this is, a high-end brochure that we send. And that, though I found it's starting to drop off a little bit, so we're relooking at that. Everything has to work ROI 4 to 5 times. If not, we start looking at where the problem is and whether we want to continue moving forward. So if you click forward on that, you'll see the inside of the folder. And again, it's branding, it's information, it's a very thick, glossy double fold that goes out to these clients. Videos are very important. I do these on a regular basis. I use Get Viral. Frank and the folks over there are absolutely spectacular. I know, Verl, you know them. They help put this together. I do these on a regular basis, a couple of times a month. It goes out to our database, past and current clients. This was one I did about a month ago. I threw out the first pitch at the local baseball game because of my numbers and ranking in the city for real estate. So I was really thrilled to be a part of that, and I'm honored. I try to make sure that our people are working 7 days a week. Our ISA in-house, though she's only paid for 5 days a week, she has proven herself to me by working pretty much as humanly possible. I love that in her, and we've increased her salary because of it. We've got this other VA calling the expireds and FSBOs, as I mentioned, and we also are asking our VA to check with the past clients and asking how we did, and then we ask for their reviews if we did well. On Zillow, Trulia, Yelp's a difficult animal to handle. If any of you know, Yelp will not put a review up unless that person is a regular Yelper. Otherwise, it goes to a back page, and the goal is everything points to us as agents of choice. The Zillow reviews.
Love that.
Yep.
Hey, Bob,
Zillow,
a lot of people asking what an ISA is. We talk about it because we both know, but an ISA stands for Inside Sales Associate.
Exactly. And there's a couple of incarnations of that, but that's basically it. Somebody who's manning the phones working inbound buyers. As a first means of contact, and we're trying to get that within 2 minutes. That's the new norm. It used to be 6 minutes, then it was 5 minutes. We really think contact within 2 minutes on a lead system needs to be upheld, because if you don't, your neighbor, your other agent down the block in another office will be doing 2 minutes, and they're going to beat you to it. Reviews are very important. If there's anything you take away from this, my buddy Super Mike out of Jersey told me about this 3 years ago. We took it to heart. We now have 155 or more reviews that we have on Zillow alone. Listen, and if there's a bad review, we don't mind, because I was once told I have too many good reviews. They all look like they were posed there by somebody that works for us, and it's not. These are all clients. and so just know, the reviews are important. We see buyers and sellers come to me directly because they've read our reviews and they see that we are the real deal. We're not somebody that's just blowing smoke. And that's not just on Zillow. We also do it on Google Plus and a variety of other locations as well. And let's see, this is, by the way, we were talking about following up, and this is so important, whether it's a buyer or seller lead. I use Outlook. You can use Google, Gmail, whatever, but the contacts need to be in your calendar, and follow them up day to day or week to week, and make sure that you follow them. If you don't contact them, and you can see my contacts on a given day, and I have a little program that inserts the time and date stamp, and you can find those online. But the fact is, everything is communication, what I've done, so when I call back, I know who to call, what the last conversation was, and I call them back on a 2-week, 3-week, 4-week rotation. Sometimes it might be a 6-month rotation. The one thing I hear people say to me on a regular basis is, Bob, I'm coming to you because you followed up the best. And believe me, buyers and sellers appreciate the agent who takes the time to follow up on a regular basis. You may not think you're getting anywhere, but the God-honest truth is, you continue to follow up, it will impress the bejeebers out of the buyer and the seller, and that may be the one reason that they go with you, because you follow up and you stay to it. And as I mentioned earlier, I edit all of our videos and that's part of my passion, my background, but I absolutely love what I do with our videos. I use Final Cut Pro. I would tell you, if you have any interest in it, go to Apple, buy a Mac, buy their one-to-one program. It will cost you $99 for the one-to-one. They'll train you how to do videos or any software that Apple produces for $99. It's one of the best deals that's out there.
I love that you do so much on videos. And just so everybody knows, this is being recorded, and you will get access to it, and also you can go back and listen to it again and again. Bob has given us so much information in such a short period of time. I wish I could go in. Let me just give you a quick snapshot. This is going to open in another screen.
Yep.
Here's an example of what some of Bob's video looks like. Now, I'm going to jump through this, Bob, so we're not going to watch through all the video, but you can see that he does a great job.
I don't know that people
Bob,
can hear it. Yeah.
They probably can't hear it. There's great audio in the background. He's describing it. Are you walking through with your GoPro? How are you shooting that?
This is with a Nikon D800. It's on a Movi, M-O-V-I-E, I believe. It's basically a Steadicam that I use, and I carry through the homes. It stabilizes the video. You could also just go with a regular camera, a regular video camera, point and shoot, and then stabilize it using stabilization software that comes with Final Cut. Again, it's all taught to you if you go to Apple. They are masters at getting something together and teaching you how to use it.
How much does that separate you from everybody else that's not doing video? I mean, is that a big deal?
It's good. Well, I'll tell you what's happened is that other agents in my town have hired outside people to create videos that look a little like mine, but that's a compliment. The good news is it doesn't cost me any more money, and it's costing them between $250 and $1,000 for them to create that video. So my ROI, my profit is higher for me, which allows me to put more money back into promoting and marketing our listings.
To list 100 houses a year, what would be the top 3 things you would tell people to do? Like, if you do these 3 things, that'll make the biggest difference in your business. So
create a product that's different than other agents. By that I mean high-end pictures, high-end videos. Start slowly. You don't have to jump in full feet. Even a GoPro video or a camera video that's on your iPhone or Droid will take you above beyond other people. Post it on YouTube and link to it on your website and other locations. Make sure you follow up every lead. Never let it die. And I think, Verl, wasn't it you who said you continue to work them until you die?
We follow up until they buy or tell you to die.
There you go, buddy. So you put that in that calendar on an Outlook, and if you don't follow up, move it forward to the next day or the day after. Make sure you follow up, because people appreciate consistency, and they appreciate the fact that you're dedicated to your job. You may not realize it, but it is true. And finally, I would tell you, enjoy and have a passion for what you do, because when you have that passion, it comes through, and people will see that in you and want to work with you because of what you're giving back.
Well, that's awesome, and those are great steps and tips to launching your business to the next level. I want to thank you so much for your time. I know you've got to run off and do your radio program, so thank you for being here. I'm going to jump on with Martin next, and we'll share some great tips with Martin Bauma, who's our next guest. So thank you very much again for being here, Bob, and sharing your great insights. And Bob has offered to allow us to download his 150 points. I'm going to show you how you can get that at the end of the call today. Bob, thanks again for being here.
Thanks, Pearl. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So next I want to introduce Martin. Martin, there's some background noise on your end. I'm going to take you off mute and see if we can. There we go. Martin, how you doing this afternoon?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Let me introduce you to our great group here today. We've got a phenomenal group of several hundred people that are listening to, how to list over 100 houses a year. And it's a pleasure to have you on the call, and I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. This, everybody, folks, is Martin Bauma with the Bauma Group out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Keller Williams. Let me just give you a little bit of background on Martin. He's 20 years in real estate. And, Martin, I don't want to tell him about your failures. I loved it when you kind of told your story. Tell me about how you started in real estate and the failures you had.
Yeah. Well, I sort of got started I'm getting really bad feedback.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to ask you to do is you're using the computer instead of a phone to call in. If you look at your control panel really quick, what's that?
I'm on the phone. So I hang up the phone and go to the computer?
Yeah, hang up on the computer. So it's showing you on, I think you're getting feedback because there's two devices going.
Okay.
Or mute the computer.
Okay. Okay, this is much better. Okay.
Oh, way better. Yes, thank you.
Yes. Okay, absolutely. Okay, so I got started in real estate, and I sort of got into the business serendipitously in that I got my license because I wanted to learn about real estate. But I sort of enjoyed it a little bit, and the broker at that point told me, sort of got me involved in real estate. Now, I started out in a small Century 21 office with a bunch of old men in their 60s who went for lunch and got drunk and came back to the office, and I sort of realized that I didn't belong there. So I started interviewing different companies, and it was interesting. The very first company showed me around, and it was a wonderful place. I said, I'd love to be working here. They said, well, Martin, we don't have any desks available. I didn't realize till years later what that meant. It meant they didn't want me. So I then went to the next company. They did a personality test on me, and they said I didn't have what it took to make it in real estate. So I kept going, and I finally got a company that would hire me, and I worked there for a little while. I did okay, but nothing spectacular. And one day my broker put a note in my box and said I didn't have what it took to make it in real estate. And so I was humiliated. I didn't dare go talk to him about it. I just was standing in the lobby, and this woman came up to me and said, Martin, what's the matter? I said, well, I think I've been fired, and I quit my real job about a year ago, and I'm a little bit nervous. She said, well, do you want to make it in real estate? I said, absolutely. And she said, well, you do what it takes. I said, absolutely. So she took me to the back of the office, and for the next long period of time, we literally sat on the phones together from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night. All I did was make phone calls. The only time I would leave was to make appointments. And 3-4 months later, I forget the exact number, something like 6 or 7 closings, and that's how my career got started.
I love it. I love that somebody told you that you didn't have what it takes to be successful, because I don't believe that in anybody. I think that anyone that is willing to put the time in and the work in and to become a true expert can be successful in this business. And so I congratulate you for fighting through that and finding a way to the top. It's kind of interesting. Tell us about how your business is doing now.
We're doing phenomenal. This year we are on track to do 300 units, $92 million in business, 2.7 in commission, and 160 listings taken, which is this year we're literally 54% ahead of last year.
I love it. I love it. Tell me a little bit about your team.
My team, how I'm set up, I have got myself. I do listings. That's the part of the business that I love. I've got a listing specialist, and he lists the condominiums and the lower priced properties. I list the higher end properties. I then have a listing manager, and she's the one who's sort of my right-hand person. She takes incoming calls. She gets me ready for my appointments. We have a receptionist who is also an assistant to the listing manager. I have 2 closing managers, and once the transaction, whether it's a listing, a sale, or a buyer sale, goes over to the closing managers, and then we're out of the picture. They negotiate the building inspection, and they follow it through to closing. I've got 2 rock star buyer agents. They've been with me for 13 years. Each of them has a showing assistant. Each of them, before the showing assistants, were doing about 50 units a year. And this year, they've each had now a showing assistant for about 3 months, and they're probably on track to do 60 to 70 units each. I've got 1 newer buyer's agent who's been with me since February. He's already done 25 deals. And I've got a COO who runs the team for me. I've got a marketing person that works 25 hours a week for me. And then we have a part-time courier.
That's awesome. Let's talk about what's kind of going on in the market around there. If you're listing like that, stuff's got to be selling.
Stuff is selling incredibly fast. I mean, we're in a kind of a market right now where if a house doesn't sell in the first week or 2, there's a big problem, especially in the city of Ann Arbor. Inventory is very, very tight. It's actually up in the last month a little bit over last year, but the problem is we have a lot more buyers. So there's a big fight to who can get the listings, because if you got the listings, you've got the business. We are starting to see a little bit of a slowdown. Like March and April, we were literally seeing 6, 7, 8 offers on properties, people willing to pay $30, $40, $50,000 over list price to get the house. We're not seeing too much of that anymore. It's become a little more well, normal. I don't know if you call it normal yet, but it's not as frantic as it was back in March and April.
That's great. You know, when you have that kind of a business and you're going on that many appointments and you're converting that, I always believe that there's something you do that's different. There's something that makes it not fair for other people that want to compete in your backyard. What is your unfair advantage?
My unfair advantage, number one, is my market knowledge. Okay, like I can walk into a listing and I can say, okay, you know what, the comps show this. Let's say the comps show the house is worth $400. I'm going to price it at this price because I know the last house that sold in your neighborhood last week, there were 5 people who wrote an offer on that property. I know that that property went for $20,000 over list. I know that there were 4 backup offers, so we know right now there are 4 people who are dying to get into your neighborhood. So why don't we push the price above the comps? We're going to put it up to this point, and we're going to insist that whoever writes an offer on that either is going to be a cash buyer or they're going to agree to come up with a difference between appraisal and sale price. So it's having that total knowledge of the market, which is, you know, when I kind of share that kind of data with a seller, I have information that very few people have.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that as good as you are, you still prospect. You still do the basic things that helped you build that business when you first started. Go over a few of those things with me.
Well, you know, people always ask me, Martin, what is your magic pill? You know, what do you, what do you blink? You know, why are you successful? I'll simply say, you know what? I don't do anything massive. I just do a lot of things very consistent. I make 10 phone calls every day. I send out 4 to 5 handwritten notes every day. I call sellers every day. You know, I've got very consistent exposure in print. I don't do newspaper, but I do a monthly news magazine, which sits on people's coffee tables for a year. I constantly have a full-page ad in that, which is powerful for listings. It's just doing a whole bunch of those things very consistently. And, you know, someone once said that efficiency has no costs. So what I'm always doing is, you know, if I can tweak this 5% and tweak that 5% and then tweak this 10%, all of a sudden you're at 50%, right? So it's just doing a lot of those consistent things and then every single day say, what can I do just a little bit better?
As you've gone
like
from being a single agent.
Cards. What's that?
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I said the other thing you do too, you know, like I send out handwritten birthday cards to all of my clients with a credit card or like a plastic card with a certificate for free ice cream at the famous local ice cream place. I do handwritten notes for their anniversaries. Just all those type of things. I'm just do those things very consistently.
So I love that because there isn't a magic pill. It's the consistently doing the right things that everybody knows they should do, but most don't. But you just continue to tweak it and tweak it until you get better at it. When you went from being a single agent to deciding you're going to add, buyer's agents, how do you get past the nobody can do it as good as me syndrome?
Yeah, it's all about the right talent, right? I think whenever I hear people say that, I'm telling you, you've hired the wrong person. You have to, I honestly, even my best friends who are CEOs of companies who feel they have to work with me, I'm 1,000%, matter of fact, I'm uncomfortable working with them as a buyer's agent because I haven't done it in years. I'm that confident that my buyer's agents are that much better than me. It comes to hiring the right people, and you don't do it immediately. You don't hand it off immediately. You make sure that that person is trained. You make sure that they think like you, that they work like you, and it takes time. They got to prove themselves. But like I said, I have 2 buyer's agents that have been with me 13 years, and they're phenomenal. So a lot of it comes down to just hiring the right people and then make sure that you train them properly.
Yeah, I like that you make them spend 2/3 of every day learning the market before you ever send them out in the market.
Yeah, when we bring on new people, and that's something, we had talked about that. A new buyer's agent, when they come to my team, they don't sell real estate for a while. They literally spend, like I said, 2/3 of every day learning about the market. I'll say, okay, John, you're going to start with condominiums. Every single day, I want you to learn everything you can about a certain complex. I want you to see what's sold. I want you to see what's active. I want you to know everything about the neighborhood. We've got websites for every single condominium complex in the city, so they go to those sites and learn everything, like how many units there are, what's the appreciation over the last couple of years, all that type of stuff. Because when we get ad calls, I'm a strong believer that the best converter of an ad call is a buyer's agent that really knows the market. And you find that when you've got someone that is that knowledgeable, you're almost guaranteed a conversion. there's nothing worse than when a consumer calls into an office and they're talking to somebody that's reading off a sheet of paper. The consumer doesn't need you for that. They can get that on Zillow or they can get that on the internet. What they need is that intimate market knowledge that very few people have.
You know, I love that. So many people are focused on having the right dialogue or saying the right script. And you said something that I've never heard anybody say before, that the best conversion tool is knowing your market.
Absolutely. Now, if you think about it, right, and believe me, I've tried it all. If you're a consumer, you call the first realtor and you're calling about a house and they say, one moment, please, and they go through a book. Oh, here it is. Yeah, yep, 322. Yep, that's got 2 bedrooms. And, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Okay, so that's fine. They call the next person. They get an ISA who says, great, yep, that house is located here. Let me set up an appointment with our buyer's agent, and they'll get back in touch with you, and they might do a little scripting. Okay, that's fine. Then suddenly they call my office, and they get a buyer's agent, one of my buyer's agents, and they say that house, that house in Heatherwood. Yep, that's the only one available right now. Matter of fact, the last house sold with 3 offers on it, so if you want to do something really quickly, you might want to look at it right away. That market's appreciating pretty rapidly, but guess who they're going to work with? They're going to work with that agent that brings all that information to the table that no one else has.
Right. So as you're bringing these new agents on to provide this exceptional service, you talked about the amount of time you spend getting ready for a listing appointment. Tell me, kind of take me through that a little bit.
Now for a new person, right? We were talking about,
yeah.
If I was a brand new person and I got an opportunity to go on a listing, okay, that is, the listing is what it's all about. Once you get a listing, you've arrived, and you use that listing to basically let the market know that you're someone out there that's doing real estate. With a brand new agent, what I would tell them, listen, you've got a listing appointment tomorrow. This is what I want you to do today. I want you to go drive the neighborhood. I want you to preview everything that's for sale. I want you to look at everything that's sold. Look at the photos. Look at the aerial photographs so you know exactly what's around it, right? So you can say, well, that one sold for this price because it backed up to, this main road. I also tell them to get the names of the people who live in the sold and active property. So you can be talking to that seller, say, well, the Smith's house over here, that sold for $240. And what that does, I go, oh, wow, that guy knows the Smiths. It's this whole perception of knowledge. And I just want them to know absolutely everything that they can about that particular little market niche. Anyone can become an expert in one day, so that there's nothing that seller can pull on you that you would not know about. And keep in mind that, a lot of your confidence comes from knowledge. I think a lot of times we're not confident when we don't have the knowledge. And so that's what I would tell a new person. Say, hey, you guys, that's a listing. Spend every minute you can to make sure you're 100% ready for that point. That's how you can beat someone like me. Because I honestly can't spend that much time for every listing appointment. My strength comes from from some different areas.
I don't know if the people on this call really understand the value of what you're talking about right now when it comes to becoming experts in this business. There's a huge perception out there that real estate agents aren't worth the money they get paid. And I think the reason is because so many don't take the time to really, truly become experts in their craft. And by being an expert, that's how you justify the commissions we get paid. And when you're really not an expert, then I think that the consumer is justified in questioning our value for the dollar they spend for the service we provide.
Oh, completely.
So how much of your business is referrals, and how do you take care of those people who give you referrals?
Yeah. When I get down, 61% of my buyer sales are people that know us. Okay, those are people that are past clients, referred by past clients, referred by realtors. You'd be surprised how many realtors call us and say, Martin, this client is crazy. We can't deal with them. And they refer them to us, and we're able to work with them because all we do is communicate. That's what most people want. They're not crazy at all. So 61% of our buyers, 68.5% of our sellers come from people that know us. The internet provides 32% of our buyers and 10% of our sellers, and then the rest come from odds and ends.
And so when someone gives you a referral, you had something that was kind of unique that you sent me over.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever someone sends us a referral, even if we don't get the listing or the buyer sale, we reward that person. And we have a world-famous deli here in town called Zingerman's, and we send them this. It's a $100 weekender gift box. It comes wrapped up in a really sharp packaging. It's got some of the most incredible, treats inside of that, and we have that delivered to their house with a handwritten note.
people respond to that level of thank you?
Over the top. And what we'll do, we try to, if they work, like we have the university here, we try to deliver it to their office so that we get the bang from the whole office seeing it. So no, we get, I would say 75% of the time we get a phone call from them or a handwritten note just profusely thanking us for it. They're so appreciative.
Nice. Okay, so in your market, things are selling fast. You're getting them on the market. You got multiple offers. Do you, you put a house on the market. Do you stop the marketing campaign? Tell me how you proceed with it.
Yeah, like to me, the ultimate marketing tool is a listing, right? That's what makes people call us. And keep in mind, very seldom does someone buy the house that they call on. So it's the number one thing we do. Every listing, even when we sell it the day it hits the market, we do all the marketing. We put it on our blog, we put it on Facebook, we create the brochures and get those distributed. We make sure it's up on all of our different sites. We get the professional photographer, we get the stager. Because sometimes people say, well, why are you spending $150 for that and $250 for that when it's already sold? Because I have a very consistent plan. I want every piece of marketing and everything that leaves my office to look, I don't want to cut corners anywhere. And so what happens is we put the sign up, we notify the neighbors, we do everything. So we're getting that exposure through every single listing that we get.
I love that. So what works from a lead generation perspective the best for you? Talk to me about what you do with farming.
What we do, I'm very, like I always tell people, when you get started, you have lots of time and no money. Once you get to my level, you have lots of money and no time. So I spend money. I do it very carefully. I do quarterly market reports of 4 neighborhoods I want to dominate. And every quarter they get a 4-page color brochure telling them exactly what's happened, what's active, what's sold. And I'll do a write-up, a full-page write-up about what's happened. I'll talk about unique properties in that neighborhood that sold or what's coming up or, things from the city. Hey, they're going to be building a building here or whatever. Just a real neat update about the neighborhood. And then I've got some of my featured properties. So that goes out to 4 different particular neighborhoods. I also do annual reports of our market. Again, it's a 4-page color brochure that goes out to our entire database. And then I'm always very good with just listed, just sold cards. Every time we list a property, out goes a just listed card. And then when we sell the property, we send out a just sold card. And then on our customers and clients, they're on a very regular mailing list. They get it something 7 times a year in the mail.
I'm scrolling through some of the samples of the things you're talking about right now. Just listed, just sold cards, the mailers that are going out. Do you manage all the marketing in-house, or do you have a print company that's doing it for you and sends them out?
I do most of it in-house. I did hire a print company. I hired a PR company to completely rebrand my look and do the whole 9 yards because I wanted to up a level of, I wanted to have more upscale look. And so they designed everything. Some of the parts still come from them, but most of it's done in-house.
Yeah, your branding and imaging looks very sharp. I was going to mention that to you when you started sending your stuff over. I think it's very impressive, and it does give you a very clean, very professional image that's consistent with selling high-end. So well done. Good job from your branding company.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so talk to me about...
cheap, but it's...
Yeah, I'm sure. How much can I ask you how much you spent?
To have the account is $38,000.
To do the complete branding package, that's more than just doing a logo.
Oh, absolutely. It's the pre-listing book, the buyer look, the sign, it's everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about your pre-listing process. And gosh, dang it, our time's going to go fast, so we're gonna speed talk through the next few of these slides if we can.
Okay. Real quickly, what I do is when a call comes in, immediately Corinne will send out a pre-listing package. It's about 30-page. Real super classy pre-listing package. The exterior feels like leather and gets dropped off at the house usually that day. So when I show up at the property, what I normally do is I will greet them at the house. I will take a walk through the property with them and take some quick notes, tell them I'm looking at it as if I'm a buyer. And then I come sit down at the table and I just put everything down, just look them straight in the face, and I'll just say, hey, how can I help you? And it's amazing what that question will do for you. They'll tell you almost everything that you need to know. And then what I do is I'll ask them, because in my area, pretty much everyone is interviewing 2 to 4 realtors. And I'll say, okay, what criteria do you use to choose agents that you're interviewing? And that question will tell me everything else I need to know, because they'll tell me, well, we went with this agent because they're with the biggest company in town. So I go, okay, they're concerned about the size of the company. I'm going to have to address that in my presentation. Or this company has a full-page ad in the newspapers. Okay, I'll jot that down. I need to make sure I address that. So they sort of are telling me what they are using to pick the realtor. Because a lot of times I used to ask, well, how are you going to pick your realtor? And you would always get dumb answers like, well, the one who sells my house, or if I like you, or, you wouldn't get to the root of the thing. And then I'll just constantly say, well, tell me more. If they say, well, it's a big company that we want to work with, well, tell me more. Why is that important to you? And I'll just keep digging and digging until I feel I really understand what their concern is. So my whole presentation goes that way. And I don't, like I said, it's funny, I don't really have a presentation per se. I ask a lot of questions. But what I do is if I feel that they're really struggling what direction to go, I'll just simply say, you know what, you have just 5 minutes, and would it be okay with you if I took a couple minutes to just tell you what sets us apart from the other realtors you're interviewing? And that's when I'll go through the 4 things, and I talk about, first of all, how I work as a team. And I say one of the biggest advantages of having my team is that they're able to move things forward when I'm not in the office, and it allows me to be very thorough in optimizing every opportunity to sell your house. And that what a lot of people don't get the team concept, but what I'll tell them is listen, if you had a builder and he was going to build your house, would you want that builder to install the electrical, the plumbing, install the foundation by himself, or would you rather that he hires the best electrician, the best plumber, the best foundation guy? And they always say the best electrician, the best plumber, and you always see their eyes light up. They say, oh, I get it. So, I talk about the team. I talk about also the number 2, our second advantage is sets us apart of the track record. And the proof is in the pudding. And I'll tell people there's no better validation of our ability to get the job done than our track record, and we do consistently list more homes each year than any other realtor, and we close on more properties than any other realtor, and have done so for the past 12 years. And I'll say having knowledge of the market is critical when being an advisor to the buyers and sellers. And because of our track record, we're in tune with those things that are very applicable to the marketplace today. And I also talk about communication because that's ultimately very important. I get into the whole thing of how we communicate and how important that is. And I'll tell them, I said, listen, there's a lot of good agents. They know how to market well. They know the methods of negotiation. But guess what? They get really busy, and many lose the necessary communication. We have systems in place to bring a consistent level of communication that the clients appreciate. And then the last thing I talk about is our negotiating strength. And a lot of people think they're going to get the same price regardless of who's conducting negotiations. And we know that's not true because otherwise top companies wouldn't pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to hire the best negotiators. Then I'll sort of end it up, and I'll just say, then I go into a little bit more, but I speed going through this. I'll sort of end it up. I'll just get years of experience in a broad market knowledge base. That's what distinguishes our ability to negotiate more skillfully to get you a higher bottom line. And when you add up the 4 things above, how we work as a team, blah, 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 and I sort of end it like that. And usually, at that point, I've got the listing.
So how much do you practice? You're very smooth, and your dialogue is very, I don't know the best word for it. It sounds natural. Are you practicing? Do you do role plays with your agents?
Yes, we role play. It goes in spurts, but I would say there's times when we do it every single morning. Sometimes what will happen is I'll hit. What happens? Sometimes you get confident, right? When you get confident, you start losing listings. And I'll just pull John, hey John, let's get back to this. We need to start role playing this. Let's, tell me, how do I sell? What do I need to change? When we get new people on board, we're role playing every morning. 15 or probably 15 minutes to half an hour. In the wintertime, we do a lot of it because you have more time.
Yeah. I think listings and practicing is critical for everything. You say systems for everything. Give me a quick snapshot of critical systems.
Just like when a new listing comes in, right? It's right away, all these to-dos get shot out to everybody. We use Top Producers as software, and so everybody has these to-dos that pop up. Like my listing manager will make a phone call to the seller every day for 5 days just to create, we want, because the seller is very anxious up front, right? but they know that every day they get a call from us, all of a sudden they're going to go, wow, you know, they really are on top of things and they leave us alone. That's very powerful because there's nothing worse when you list a property as a seller and you don't hear from your realtor. And even though you're doing everything, they're not hearing from you. And there's nothing worse than a buyer or a seller who's lost confidence in you. They're going to nag you. They're going to be on the phone. They're going to do all that kind of stuff. So we have that. And then all these to-dos go out. Like, it'll, you know, a to-do goes out to my COO to call 3 days later to do a follow-up. The first market report 7 days later. The marketing department gets, you know, order the sign, do this, do that, do that. You know, so everyone gets all these to-dos.
Yeah, I love your action plans.
Yeah. So it's just you have to. When you do the level of business that we do, you simply have to have systems in place, or it's going to become a total nightmare.
And where do you run your action plans? What system do you use?
We use Top Producer.
Yeah, I see so many people using that. I'm showing some examples of the action plans, and you've been kind enough to give us and share some action plans as part of the downloads that we're making available. Key tools, Top Producer you mentioned, DocuSign,
yeah.
Dacno, and Google. Dacno is your website?
Dacno does our website, correct. And then you know, DocuSign for our contracts. We have a lot of people international, so we do a ton of DocuSign. Zip forms, of course, for all of our contracts, and then we use Google Docs for some of our stuff. Not too much because Google Docs is not as flexible as Excel.
Yeah. Yeah, we find the same thing. We do a lot of the Google Docs stuff. Martin, I got to tell you that there's so much information here. I may invite you back for another call. I hope that's okay with you. It's been phenomenal getting all your tips and insights on how to build a successful listing practice.
No problem. I'd love to. My honor.
We've got a bunch of questions. People asking if you use Top Producer. The answer is yes. Someone said, I thought this was only an hour, and I'm sorry they had to leave. I hope they were able to stay on with us. Somebody asked who you used for your branding company. Would you mind sharing their name so you could give them a referral?
Yeah, I use a local company here called Fire, and it's P-H-I-R-E.
P-H-I-R-E. I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
If you had a couple of tips, I'm going to put on the screen where you can go to get information. Go to workmansuccess.com/list100, and you'll be able to download all the things that we talked about, which included the 150-step marketing system from Sokoler's team. And we've got Martin, who shared with us some marketing pieces, some of his newsletters he sends out, and some of the action plans that he uses to manage the high-volume listing business. Phenomenal information. You go to workmansuccess.com/list100. And I will tell you, look, if you want to build a team or you're looking to create an environment where you don't have to do it all yourself, sign up for a free business consult. Let one of my business consultants talk to you about what it looks like. We have $1 million business in a box with every contract, process, and system that's available. Martin, final thoughts from you. If you could give me 3 things to help me build a business where I could list 100 houses a year, what would your top 3 things be?
If I was brand new, probably the number one thing before I do anything, become an absolute market expert. Probably the next thing I would do is hold open houses every single Sunday, so I was getting in front of people. And if I'm in an office, if I don't have listings, go to the agents that have listings, because a lot of them don't care to do that. And then number 3, build a database. You know, and that's the most powerful thing you can have. Every single name you get, stick it in that database and build a powerful database on every connection you make.
Those are all awesome tips. And, you know, as always, they're not rocket science, but it's perfect execution of the basic fundamentals. Just go out and do it. I encourage all of you to go out there and, you know, prospect, know your market well, work your open houses, and build your database. If you do those things, you won't have to worry about where the money's going to come from, because you're able to provide a much higher level of service. On behalf of Pillar to Post and RISMedia, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Martin, and to Bob, thank you. We're going to make sure that we send everybody a copy of the downloadable slides from today, and also the free downloads. Thanks again for being here, and I'll talk to you all on our next agent webinar series. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today.
Great.